Hey everybody, Dragon Movie Guy here, and welcome to Dragon Movie Guy. This is my summer movie preview. Summer is almost here. It's hard to believe, but summertime, summer movie season is almost here. I'm almost crying. It's my favorite time of year to go to the movies. Joining me to talk about summer movie season is Cody Brockopp from the Brockopp Side. Cody recently monetized his channel. He's over 1,000 subscribers now for the Brockopp Side. He also does the IMAX Is It Worth It video reviews, not just knowing whether or not it's good to go see the movie, but is it worth paying the extra couple bucks to see the IMAX viewing experience? Cody has you covered there too. So please, please, please be sure to welcome Cody Brockopp from the Brockopp Side. Hey Cody, is summertime your favorite time of year to go to the theaters?
Oh, absolutely. That's when all the exciting stuff comes out.
What's your favorite summer movie memory?
I remember back in the summer of 2015 when Jurassic World first came out. That was like a big phenomenon. And it was like, and there were like showings that were getting sold out like over and over again. So that was an exciting time. And that was just a really fun movie. Saw it like 3 times the theater that summer. It was one of those peak summer blockbuster moments, basically.
Mine has to be the summer of '94. That was the year when we got Pulp Fiction, Forrest Gump. I saw in theaters like 10 or 12 different times
Wow.
because I was working in a movie theater. So a friend of mine and I went to every single General Cinemas in the greater Seattle area and watched Forrest Gump in the summer of '94. So let's go ahead and get started. Jump right into it. We're going to go two at a time. We're going to start with 15, 14 on down, alternate back and forth, counting down to our number one movies for summer movie season. So let's start with you. Your number 15 movie, which is The Little Mermaid.
I've always enjoyed The Little Mermaid, the original animated movie, quite a bit, so naturally I was curious about the live action version. And, uh, the thing about the Disney live action remakes that they can be extremely hit or miss. Some are really good, and others are just kind of there for the sake of they make money. So I'm not quite sure where this one's going to land just yet, but visually it looks appealing. Halle Bailey, I think she'll do a great job as Ariel. And also Javier Bardem as King Triton. I'm like, that's fantastic casting right there. I can't wait to see it just for him mostly, I think.
Yeah, and oddly, this is one of the few movies that I have not seen of the Disney Renaissance. I have never actually sat down to watch The Little Mermaid, so this will be a
Really?
fun one to watch. Yeah, I mean, I watched, I believe, every other one from like 88, 89-ish through the 90s. But for whatever reason, I just never got around to watching The Little Mermaid. I've heard great things. I love Disney hand-drawn animation. I love the whole nine. And oddly, even the VHS controversy of the artist drawing in some naughty bits on the cover didn't get me to get the VHS copy of it. So this will be a first for me in terms of watching The Little Mermaid. This is also on my list. Any thoughts on the controversies around casting?
People suck and they love to complain.
This is true. I love Javier Bardem as well, so it'll be really fun to see him as the king. I love Pixar. Very few Pixar misses in the Pixar canon, so I am really excited for this one. And looks like you are too. It's number 14 on the list.
Yeah. I mean, Pixar is usually a safe bet when it comes to quality entertainment. And the thing about most Pixar movies, unless I'm like absolutely hyped through the roof for it, like a Toy Story or Your Incredibles, I'm not gonna really go into it with a lot of background information. Like, I don't seek out the trailers for them usually. I just kind of want to experience them blind. It's just kind of how I've always done it, I think, and it usually turns out all right. So I don't know a ton about this particular one. I know it's about like the elements coming to life and living amongst each other. So I, it just sounds like ripe material for a good Pixar movie, and I can't wait to see what they do with it.
I haven't done a lot of research either on this particular one, other than looking at the trailer and looking at the voice cast real quick. It does remind me a lot of In and Out. Um, visually speaking, in terms of style. My number 15 is Joyride. This is one that I really wanted to see at South by Southwest. Didn't quite get around to seeing it, but this is a largely Asian American cast doing a road trip movie. I don't recognize most of the people in this cast, but watching the trailer, it's always fun to see people of different personality types coming together, having to do a road trip, do a rom-com road trip
Right.
across country to accomplish a common goal. But really, it's just the story is in the journey. So number 15 is Joyride for me. Have you heard anything about Joyride?
I just saw the trailer for it yesterday, actually, when I went to go see Air, and I agree. It looks like it'll be a fun time. From a humor standpoint, it probably will not be everybody's cup of tea, but I think I could definitely see myself checking it out, though.
Yeah, absolutely, and it is a little surprising too that it's getting a July release because this is not a big budget blockbuster. So it'll be interesting to see a film that comes out of the film circuit getting a July release. I believe it's a limited release, but still for a small independent movie to be released in July. It to me it says the studio has confidence in it. I'm actually a little shocked that it is not higher on my list. I love Christopher Nolan. I love the whole Dark Knight trilogy. Um, this should be higher on my list, but the effects and the promotion seem like they might be a little bit much for my tastes. I love Cillian Murphy. I love the whole cast that have lined up. Both of us live in Nevada, so we have the Nevada test site connection to Oppenheimer, the story of J. Robert Oppenheimer, the father of the atomic bomb that ended World War II. I'm a little surprised that it's not higher on my list, and I can't pinpoint something as to exactly why, other than the CGI and the effects look like they're trying a little bit too hard. Maybe it reminds me a little bit too much of Indiana Jones 4, The Crystal Skull. That's possibly it, but I love Cillian Murphy, I love this cast, and I love Christopher Nolan, so Oppenheimer comes in at number 14 on my list.
Cool. Well, not to spoil anything, but it is notably higher on my list. So I guess I'll just save my thoughts for a few minutes from now.
Do you now? It is much higher on your list. Are you surprised that it's not higher on my list?
Uh, mm, Once I see what is higher on your list, then maybe I'll have some words about it. But
Good
maybe,
point.
yeah, but yeah, a little surprised. Yeah.
Good point. Good point. Let's jump over to see if there's anyone in the chat. See if anyone's there. I'm not seeing anyone at the moment, but anyone who wants to leave a chat and be part of the chat conversation, please be free. Feel free to leave a chat, leave a comment in the comments section. Blue Beetle, one of the DCEU films. It is technically part of the DCEU. It looks pretty good. The trailer, I was a little surprised they didn't have Ted Court. They're going to go with Jaime Reyes as the main character in Blue Beetle. Your thoughts on Blue Beetle? We just got the trailer recently.
Yeah. I mean, I think it does look really promising. The cast looks really cool. The suit looks fantastic. Blue Beetle's not a character I'm uh, super familiar with, to be completely honest with you, but the little bit I've seen of him in things like the Injustice games and Batman the Brave and the Bold animated show, I think he's definitely a character that's ripe for the live action treatment. So I can't wait to see what they do with him. And also, it's interesting because this is technically going to be the first entry in the new rebooted DCU. It's going to be uh, transferred over. It comes out right after the Flash movie's going to basically reset things. So that'll be kind of interesting to see how that plays out. And also, it looks like they're definitely. It's probably going to lead to some sort of Booster Gold team up in the future too, which is somebody that Blue Beetle teams up with a decent amount, which is something that I know a lot of people are looking forward to. But yeah, I'm always down to see a good superhero origin story, and I think this movie's going to deliver that.
Yeah, I agree. It looks really good. It didn't make it onto my list just because of kind of the mess that the DC universe is right now. That James Gunn and Peter Safran having to kind of go back and hit the hard reset button on the so when I saw the trailer, I thought, it looks pretty good. I like the getting taken over by the Blue Beetle suit and flying up into space kind of evokes some of those Avengers, Infinity War, Spider-Man memories a little bit. I like you. I don't know a ton about this character other than Ted Cord, who was also one of the Blue Beetle characters, was mentioned a lot in the Arrowverse. So it kind of surprised me they didn't go in that direction a little bit, but cinematic universes are completely different from the TV universes, obviously. So yeah, I'm also looking forward to this film, although it did not make it onto my list. Let's go with your number 12, which is The Machine. Thoughts on The Machine?
Well, I've been a fan of Bert Kreischer's stand-up comedy for a couple of years now. I just like listening to him talk and tell stories, and of course, the Machine story is his most famous one by far. So I'm curious to see how they take that story and kind of do a fictionalized continuation of it, say like 30 years later, saying what happens after that. And the trailer we got looks fun, incredibly stupid, but fun. And also, Mark Hamill is playing his father in this one, which I think he'll probably be the highlight of the movie overall. But yeah, I mean, it comes out Memorial Day weekend, I believe. So I think it'll be just a fun, nonsensical kickoff to the summer movie season. So.
Yeah, and when I saw this one, it's on my list as well. It's a little higher up. I was, for the first half, first minute or two, I was a little bit shocked because I didn't quite know what to think of the trailer. I thought, well, okay, is this a documentary? Is this a? And then it starts going sideways, and then you see Mark Hamill jump in, and the Russians and the mafia and this party machine from 20 years ago, and what is he doing now? I love the idea of this movie. I'm not familiar with Bert Kreischer's comedy. Is he a guy that does a lot of stand up and has Netflix or Comedy Central specials or?
Oh yeah, he's got several Netflix specials. He's super popular right now. Basically, it's a lot of like drinking stories, just a lot of outrageous things he's done. His life story is supposedly the inspiration for the movie Van Wilder. Take that as you will. But he's like just like the ultimate party animal and just telling stories about life and crazy parties and things like that. But he's just a lot of fun to listen to. I think so.
Nice. Yeah, I'll definitely have to check out more of his stand up comedy. I kind of recognize his face. Like I probably saw it flip. Saw some of his stand up flipping channels at some point or another, but nothing really comes to mind in my memory off the top. So yeah, it is also on my list. And anytime you put Mark Hamill in a movie that opens Memorial Day weekend, it just seems like it's going to be epic. Strays is my number 13 movie. This is a CGI animated film. It's got a little bit of everybody. The animation's weird. It looks like they took actual real dogs and did the animation the CGI animation on the mouth, so that the dogs are talking like people, but it's real dogs on camera for the most part. The dog is a dog who's a cute dog that loves his owner, but quickly discovers that his owner doesn't love him as much as well. His owner takes him out and just kind of leaves him, and he keeps coming back for more. And then the story of the stray dog goes on to try and find a new family and does a little bit of a road trip himself. They have a lot of great voice talent lined up for this film. Will Ferrell, I believe, is the main character doing the voice of the main character in Strays. So that this is one that it's animation, CGI animation, but it's also a lot of live action capture stuff. So the Strays looks phenomenal to me. So that's number 13 on my list.
I've seen plenty of live action talking animal movies in my day, so it's something that I probably will enjoy, but it didn't make my list personally because the trailer didn't like I don't know, it didn't really blow me away. I feel like my concern is that, the whole shtick of, "Oh, the dogs are talking inappropriately," is gonna kinda wear off after, like, 30 minutes, but I'll give it a chance, though, but it's not something I'm like, "Oh, yes, must see now."
Yeah, this is one that could be it could very well be a dud. Obviously, Will Ferrell is in desperate need of a hit. He hasn't really had a hit film in my mind's eye in over a decade. So the other thing I noticed in the trailer was Will Forte from Saturday Night Live being the alcoholic owner of the dog who doesn't really want the dog. So I like Will Forte in general. I'm not a huge fan, but I do like him. Fast and Furious 10. This is a film that is the beginning of the end, so to speak. I'm a moderate to large fan. It's not my favorite franchise of all time, but I do love the whole found family thing that they have. This is a franchise that hasn't done as well since Paul Walker passed away. It feels like they just keep adding more and more stars that pop up uh, as a villain in one film and then team up in the next. So there's really no surprises there anymore. The only real surprise is will The Rock show up at all, even though they hate each other in real life. He's not listed on the IMDb page, but it's Vin Diesel. It's the entire Vin Diesel Fast and Furious family going around. We bring in Brie Larson in this one and a few other stars, but this is primarily the beginning of the end for the Fast and the Furious Fast X. It does surprise me that it's not a little bit higher on my list, but I do love this franchise, and it is we're surprised we're getting more of a family element with John Cena coming back from the villain in Fast 9 to being teaming up with the family in Fast 10. What are your thoughts on Fast X?
Well, this is on my list too, just like a teeny tiny bit higher than you have it, so I'm looking forward to it. The Fast and Furious movies are just absolute junk food for your eyes, basically. Uh, Mostly it's just out of morbid curiosity because they went to freaking space at the end of the last one. So it's like, what are you gonna do next? Is just what I want to know. And it'll probably be much of the same, just big, dumb, stupid set pieces with cars doing things that cars shouldn't ever do under any legal circumstances. And but the supporting cast with Jason Momoa, Brie Larson, that definitely intrigues me, and I guess they're working on wrapping this stuff up. So I don't know. It'll be fun to go see on a big screen. That's all I can really say about it. I think.
It's fun. It's not nothing's going to win an Oscar here, but it is a fun flick to watch during the
Yeah,
summertime.
I'm gonna be in Mexico when it comes out, so that should be exciting.
Where are you going to Mexico?
Uh, I forget the name of the city, but it's a nice area. I'm looking forward to it. Just visiting family for a few days.
Nice, very cool. Eric Thorpe reviews. Hey Brian and Cody, did I miss Guardians Flash in Indy 5 or Oppenheimer? We talked about Oppenheimer at number 14 on my list, um, but the others are still to come. And Lego Movie as well. Yeah, I don't have a Lego Movie on my list. I can't remember whether.
What Lego movie?
Yeah, I don't remember if there is one this summer. But Lost in the Reel, Sean. Hi, hey Brian and Cody. Hey Sean, thanks for tuning in.
What's up?
Hopefully this is all coming through well. I'm trying to add more things as we go along, so hopefully we can have this interactive element to the live stream as well. Haunted Mansion. Ha 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 ha. Tell me about the
Uh,
Haunted Mansion.
well, I've been to Disneyland many times throughout my life. Always enjoyed the ride itself. There was the 2003 Eddie Murphy Haunted Mansion movie, which most people aren't in love with, but I've always had a soft spot for it. But I think there's definitely more they could do with the attraction itself. Disney has not been super successful with translating their rides into movies beyond Pirates of the Caribbean, but I'm always just that little bit optimistic about them because I like the concept of turning these rides into movies. Eventually, they'll have another proper hit on their hands. I promise. But I mean, the cast looks cool. Owen Wilson, Tiffany Haddish, I believe Danny DeVito's in there as well. Lakeith Stanfield, I believe, is also in it, and yeah, I think it'll be a good time. Hopefully a little spooky too, and hopefully a lot of fun references to the ride for all those Disney Parks fanatics out there, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I also saw this trailer. It's not on my list, but I it does look a lot of fun. I love Lakeith Stanfield, so whenever he's attached to something, whenever he's attached to a project, that grabs my attention. I do have to admit the Disney rides being turned into feature films category hasn't been great. I did not see the first Haunted Mansion, but
Not many people did, I
Tomorrowland,
don't think.
but Tomorrowland was such a train wreck. The George Clooney movie from a couple years ago. I was really looking forward to
Yeah,
that one. It kind of, I do love the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise, but that Tomorrowland kind of poisoned the water a little bit, poisoned the well a little bit for me for Haunted Mansion. Although with this many good stars, hopefully it looks like they recaptured some of the magic from the ride or from the attraction at Disneyland. I do remember going to see going through the Haunted Mansion ride at Disneyland way back when, and that was a lot of fun. So yeah, hopefully this will be a good film.
kind of forgot about Tomorrowland. It's one of those ideas
You're
versus
better off.
execution side of things, but yeah,
You're
it's a
better off.
shame. I hope if this one's successful, we'll maybe get a Space Mountain movie finally. I think there's a lot you could do there, but I feel like they gotta get to that eventually. They did Jungle Cruise 2 years ago, and the Pirates well is kinda dried up, so, like, they gotta do that eventually, right? I don't know.
That would be awesome, and I would be shocked if they're not working on a Space Mountain one. And the fact that they have not done a Space Mountain one already is it's stupefying a little bit to me that they would do a Haunted Mansion movie adaptation remake before doing the Space Mountain one. Just thinking about it off the top of my head. Fast X,
Yeah,
your
what a
number.
coincidence.
Yes, your
It's
Fast
number
X is
10
your
on my
number
list.
10. tell me about
Yeah.
tell me about Fast X.
Let's see. Just to give you the cliff notes, junk food for your eyes. They went to space last time. Brie Larson looks cool. I don't know how they made Jason Momoa look so damn ugly in this movie, but I'm hoping his character is still cool. But just give me all the random physics-defying car action, and you'll have my money, I guess.
Yeah, I
Don't bring back Paul Walker in CGI, though. Damn it, no.
yeah, and
Don't do that. No.
No Paul Walker bringing back until you can do the when they finally revisit the franchise 20 years from now with all the kids characters, like with kids of these characters, finally 10, 15, 20 years from now, maybe
Oh, they're
CGI.
so gonna do that, aren't they? Shit.
They probably will.
Oh,
Uh,
we're never escaping this franchise, are we?
Yeah, no. What was just a quarter mile at a time, based off a magazine article way back when, is now this is ubiquitous. You're never going to outrun it. There's so much nos in the American filmmaking industry. As long as Vin Diesel and come on, when the actor's name is Vin Diesel, how do you not have Fast and Furious movies from now until the end of time? You do bring up also the point of Jason Momoa as the bad guy in this film. What are your thoughts on Jason Momoa as the bad guy in a Fast and Furious
I think he's definitely got what it takes to portray an entertaining villain. We've seen him, uh, you know, take the protagonist route for a while, so it'll be cool to see him mix it up in a very no nonsense kind of movie. I think it'll be kind of like John Cena last time, where it was just fun to see him, kind of be all super serious bad guy dude who's probably gonna turn good by the very end and meet him at the family barbecue to say, I got family. And then he'll probably be a outline the next one. So
Thoughts on Brie Larson coming into this franchise?
I can dig it.
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
She, very, yeah, talented actress.
yeah. They've pulled a lot of people into these movies over the years, so yeah, why not have Brie Larson in there too?
You're right. Random celebrities, appearances, Scott Eastwood, even Kurt Russell. So why not Brie Larson? Get all of all of the MCU and the DCEU together in one crossover film. So why not? Darn it!
Yeah, just have these actors just let loose and have fun in a really stupid movie. So
But Jason Momoa to me feels like more of a natural fit for this series. It actually kind of surprised me that he hasn't been in it before. But it's just, for some reason, Brie Larson to me doesn't seem as much of a natural fit. But we'll see. I have The Flash. In my mind's eye, I would think it would be a lot higher than this on this list. The trailers look good. The advanced screening reports from are all glowing. People excited through the roof. Ezra Miller's had a year to kind of cool off a little bit from a lot of his legal fumblings and mumbo jumbo type stuff. He hasn't been making headlines lately. Fingers crossed. Uh, but there's something I don't know what it is. I don't know whether it's just because the DCEU is largely dead and waiting to be rebooted. And yes, this is going to be the film that reboots the DC universe. I'm not a huge Ezra Miller as the Flash fan. I like him as an actor. I think he's a talented actor. I think, but Ezra Miller as Barry Allen the Flash, not as big on. Although the effects look really good in this film, I like the actress they have cast as the romantic lead as Iris. Cast looks amazing, and anytime you can bring back Michael Keaton in any fashion, but bringing him back as Bruce Wayne Batman, the kind of the kickoff to the darker look to superhero films. All that is why I have the Flash.
much like Fast X, it's on my list as well, but noticeably higher. So I definitely have my optimism about the movie, but yeah, I think just from what we've seen in the trailers, it looks like it's going to one serve as a reboot of the entire DCU, which the Flash movie is perfect for doing such a thing. Uh, it'll be super cool to see Michael Keaton come back as Batman, probably just for the one time. It'll still be cool as hell to see him again. But I think at the core of it, it's going to have a good emotional story about Barry losing his mother and, the opportunity to bring her back or see her one more time will hopefully still be at the core of the movie, but with all the other multiversal time travel shenanigans going on. So I don't know. If Tom Cruise liked it, there's a chance it's good. So
It's true.
fingers crossed there.
Now, are you a regular watcher of the Flash TV show at all over the years?
I kept up with it for the first few-ish years or so. I was always more of an Arrow guy myself, but I was following the show. I was pretty much following the Arrowverse until Crisis on Infinite Earths, and then I kind of lost interest after that. But I do intend to watch the entirety of The Flash probably once the series is fully over come summertime. But I've liked what they've done there. There's definitely some things I kind of want to see from the show in the movie, like as far as like tone and the relationships with the characters and things like that. But yeah, hopefully it's good because otherwise if it's a train wreck, that's just gonna be like one more shovel into the grave for the DCEU, which would just be a bummer.
Yeah, and I maybe it's just shame on me for giving up on the DC universe because of the DCEU. I shame on me. I love the DC characters more than Marvel characters. I've been watching the Flash TV show for pretty much since it went on, since season two. And season two, they did the Flashpoint storyline. So the fact that they're bringing the Flashpoint storyline to this movie, in some ways, it's been 6-7 years since they did that, and not everyone watches the TV show. So the fact that they're bringing it to the Flash film, I'm optimistic about. But Something about it feels off. I don't know what it is. I don't know whether it's the two Ezra Millers. Maybe I was rooting for Grant Gustin to get into the film in some way, shape, or form from the TV show as the Flash, but it is still on my list. Past Lives. It's one that I saw the trailer just recently. It looks really good. And obviously, if it didn't look good, I wouldn't put it on my list. But this is sort of an independent-looking rom-com. The idea being is that the female in this case, born and raised in Korea, moves to the U.S., gets an American husband, a Caucasian American husband, and her best friend from childhood looks her up and goes to New York, travels on a 13-hour flight, and tries to rekindle the romance that once was there when they were grown up as kids. Romantic triangle, rom-com, mostly a romance drama. It looks like it goes from a place of, yeah, clearly this guy is coming around the world for something, but I'm not going to stand in your way, to, oh, all of a sudden this is going to be a thing. So I'm curious to see how they handle that in the film. It sounds like a pretty simple setup. There's no CGI explosions or anything. It's just a romantic story, and seeing will they or won't they.
I know nothing about it really, so I'll take your word for it, and hopefully, if you give it a glowing review, maybe I'll have to check it out. So don't disappoint me.
Yeah, it comes out June 2nd. Upside Dan is here. A little bit of talk going back and forth between Upside Dan and Eric. Eric Thorpe reviews. Transformers: Rise of the Beast. This is the 7th Transformers film.
Once The Last Night came out in 2017, I was pretty over the live-action Transformers movies. But then 2018 came around and Bumblebee was released, and I thought, okay, this feels like a good piece of course correction there. And I think from the trailers, it's got it's some classic G1 Transformers feel with the time period and the look of the Autobots and Decepticons, things like that, giving also not just simply Autobots versus Decepticons this time. They've got some Beast Wars stuff going on in there, which looks really cool. This could be another misfire, but I think there's plenty of potential here. And at the end of the day, Ron Perlman's in it. He's playing Optimus Primal. He was the giant gorilla robot from the trailer, and it's always a good time to hear Peter Cullen's amazing Optimus Prime voice giving some inspiring speech in the final battle. So at the very least, there's that to look forward to with this one.
This did not make it onto my list, and echoing what you said, yeah, Transformers 5, the Last Night. When you have a film and when Anthony Hopkins giving a speech doesn't make a film better, you know it's a bad movie. Which is what The Last Night was to me. I really liked Bumblebee. I didn't think that I would. I was really surprised how much that I liked Bumblebee. I liked, kind of the I liked the reboot aspect of it. I liked the dumbed down aspect, or not the dumbed down, the simplified aspect to the technology, to the storyline, to the CGI, the lower budgetness of it, and yet still good good storytelling. John Cena. So when they announced that they would be doing a Bumblebee sequel, I was really optimistic. Optimus Primal-istic. But there's and you're right. I love the Generation 1 80s 90s kind of look to it. The Transformers is something that I grew up with. So Mirage and Ironhide and all of those 80s original Transformers characters are characters that I really identify with, that I really care about. Not so much the Beast Wars storyline, because by then I'd kind of grown out of Transformers, but you're right, though. Ron Perlman as the voice of Optimus Primal. All right, get over the eye roll of Optimus Primal, but Ron Perlman. You can't go wrong with Ron Perlman in any film. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem. We've got Mutant in there twice. and somehow has nothing to do with an X-Men film. So tell me about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem.
Well, so yeah, that's number 8 on my list, and I've been a pretty, I've been a fan of Ninja Turtles. Not, I wouldn't say I'm a diehard, but I'm pretty well versed in the lore and the characters and everything, and I've enjoyed some of the movies here and there, like the original ones, the '90s. I think are a fun time. Well, the first two at least, and I actually did enjoy the 2014 live-action Ninja Turtles reboot. The second one I didn't see, but I think this one's got a lot of potential to it because it's going the full animated route, and the animation style looks fantastic. Not quite Spider-Verse esque, but still, obviously, we took inspiration from that to have fun with the animation style again, which is something I'm very excited that a lot of studios are adapting instead of just trying to go full 3D realistic, take the 3D, but still make it fun and artsy and exciting. And yeah, and I think it's gonna have some great callbacks. You know, we're gonna get Bebop and Rocksteady in there, which I think were characters we saw a little bit in the 2016 Ninja Turtles movie. Again, I haven't seen it yet. The voice cast sounds fun with the turtles actually being teens this time, which should be interesting. And yeah, I have faith just because it's Paramount, and Paramount has been freaking killing it for the last like year and a half. So I kind of hope it's successful just because of that, because they are very on top of things lately, and I don't imagine Ninja Turtles is going to be the one thing that brings that streak down.
Think I saw the Megan Fox TMNT movie from 2014, 15, whatever, which one that was. I echo what you say about the animation style. I love the Sony Spider Verse. I didn't think that I would, but the first film was great, and the second film looks great there too. So I'm actually kind of shocked that this is the first film, at least that I can remember, that someone is picking up the mantle of that animation style, where it's not Pixar style, it's not really hand drawn, it's not really live action. It's inspired by that Sony Spider Verse thing. So it's
Well, well, Puss in Boots did that, and also Mitchell's versus Machines. They have a similar
oh,
idea of let's not make it realistic, let's make it 3D but still make it fun kind of thing. But yeah, it's very much a new wave of animated films, which I think is going to lead to some even more exciting and visually incredible movies. But
good point about those two films. I have not seen Mitchell's versus Machines or Puss in Boots, the Last
really,
Wish or the Last Live. Yeah, those it got great reviews, but just in the mad scrum of watching every Christmas movie, Puss in Boots, even though it had really good legs at the box office,
yeah,
Puss in Boots got great word of mouth and was one of the most successful movies at the box office this Christmas. But somehow it
yeah,
slipped past my antenna, my radar. So
yeah. Don't
um,
feel bad. It did me too. I only saw it like a month ago, so I was like,
very
oh crap. I
yeah.
was too busy with Avatar. Now there's a Puss in Boots. Oh, whoops.
This is also one that it's if I remember right, it's coming out in August.
Hmm.
Any trepidation over summer blockbusters being pushed to the August part of the calendar?
Not particularly. June and July are jam packed as it is, so they gotta fit somewhere, and gotta have some couple bigger, more fun movies before school starts back up. And I think Ninja Turtles is perfect for that.
Still a Michael J. Fox movie, and
Oh,
this is a documentary. It's following Michael J. Fox's life as he realized he has Parkinson's and all that entails with his career, and it's got some behind the scenes shots of Back to the Future and a lot of the other movies and TV shows he was working on in the 80s and 90s. It looks like it will be a somewhat intimate look at how he handled the decision to go public with a what ultimately will be a fatal disease. Hopefully, it won't be, but he's lived with it for a very long time. But that was when you think about movie stars and stardom and how ephemeral fame can be. The decision to go public when he did. I believe at some point when he was doing Spin City in the early 2000s, was one that was, you could tell that was not an easy decision to make, and it was something that he had wrestled with for a long time. So I'm hoping that we're going to get a lot of insight into that decision for him to go public, and interviews, talking interviews obviously with Michael J. Fox, but also with his wife and his co-workers, co-stars in different films over the years. And it's Michael J. Fox. I love anything Michael J. Fox. You put a J in there, they put the Michael J. in there for Alex P. Keaton, and I love Michael J. Fox. So there's something about this trailer that grabbed me. The documentary of it all. The yes, we know that he eventually would go public with the knowledge of him fighting this disease, but there's something compelling about that struggle, that inner struggle, to go public with something like this. So Michael J. Fox, still a Michael J. Fox movie, is number 9 on my list.
But I'm definitely interested in as well because I've kind of kept up a little bit with his public journey about dealing with Parkinson's over the last, several years or so. And, it's very heartbreaking in a lot of ways, but it's very inspiring too, especially when you hear about him actually doing better as time has progressed, but still not perfect. And, it's a shame he has to go through that, but I think he's definitely been a very positive example about how to deal with this kind of thing. And he's somebody that, like you said, I love Michael J. Fox as well. He's been a part of my childhood in so many different ways and throughout my entire life too. So I can't wait to see more of that story unfold in this documentary. When does it come out, by the way?
It comes out May 12th.
Yeah, theaters or streaming?
Um, Theaters, I believe it was limited. I'd
Oh,
have to look at my notes again, but I
okay.
believe it was limited release. So if it is limited release, hopefully we should be getting it in theaters here.
That'd
Um,
be nice.
but I can't remember for sure off the top of my head. What's your favorite Michael J. Fox movie of all time?
Back to the Future.
Dumb question. Yeah,
Easy pick.
yeah.
Uh, but
Mine
you know
too.
what? There are certain people my age that would attack me for saying this, but I've always liked him as Stuart Little as well.
Oh, okay. I've never
Yeah.
seen that one. I remember seeing the trailers for it, but Stuart Little. Was he the voice of Stuart Little in that film?
hmm
Nice.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
a live action CGI hybrid type thing. He voiced Stuart in that one. That was my first introduction to him as a kid, and then went on to watch Back to the Future and Family Ties and everything like that too. So that was my gateway drug into the further filmography of Michael J. Fox. So
That's a good way of putting it. Yeah, Michael J. Fox. Yeah, there's you can't go wrong with Michael J. Fox, or if you do, then you're doing something really really wrong. What's love got to do with it? This is a love story, kind of told from a British point of view. Has a will they, weren't they quality thing going on with her neighbor. Her neighbor is Pakistani, not Pakistani American, but Pakistani British. He goes through an arranged marriage. His family wants him to get married. He's not married as of yet. He's already made it into his 30s. He's a doctor. So we follow her as a documentary filmmaker, following him go through the arranged marriage process. This is one that it kind of jumped off. It jumped off the screen to me. It not an obvious choice, but after doing my April video with Sean Jackson from Lost the Real, he kind of got me opening up my eyes to British films more. So
hmm,
this is kind of the first one that I saw the trailer for coming up. This is a movie that comes out May 5th. Whenever you get an actress that is capable of playing both Pamela Anderson and Cinderella, and being in a Beatles movie, seeing her in a rom-com without the rom, kind of, it's intriguing. All of that rolled up into one is why I'm excited for What's Love Got to Do with It, having nothing to do with the '90s version.
I've not really heard much about it. That kind of movie's not really my cup of tea, if I'm being completely honest with you. But the way you described it definitely sounds like it could be good, though. So maybe I will have to check it out at some point.
Yeah, and it's all a little bit of a crapshoot. Sometimes sometimes trailers don't end up reflecting the movie honestly, and sometimes they do too good of a job, and the movie is nowhere near as good. Eric Thorpe reviews. Yep, Mitchell's. And he looks like he's talking about still. This is a documentary I would like to see. Loved him ever since I was a kid. Actually, more for Disney's Atlantis than Back into the Future. Interesting. I have not seen Atlantis, Eric, but that does sound like an interesting. Number 7 on your dial. Barbie. She's a Barbie girl. It's a Barbie world. Margot Robbie as Barbie.
Yep. Yeah, I think this is just one of those movies where everybody involved has got me intrigued from the get-go. I mean, of course, Margot Robbie is Barbie, and like, okay, perfect casting. I got you there. Then you got Ryan Gosling as Ken, and then just rounding out the cast with so many other variations of Barbie and Ken. You got Michael Cera in there, Dua Lipa. Uh, and a few others that I'm drawing a blank at the moment, but that looks great. And Greta Gerwig behind the camera, she's somebody I'm a big fan of her directorial efforts, especially Lady Bird. That's my favorite of her movies. So when she got attached, I'm like, okay, this movie's gonna be something pretty interesting. And just seeing the Barbie world in the trailers, everything being all hot pink and vibrant and colorful, like a Barbie commercial come to life, really sounds interesting. And how it's going to be her and Ken going into the real world and, having that fish out of water story, which is something that was, a little more prominent 20-ish years ago, but it's something you got to bring back every once in a while. And yeah, I think it's got the potential to just be a really good time, and I'm here for it.
I echo what you say about Greta Gerwig. I am a huge Greta Gerwig fan, but when I think of Greta Gerwig, I think of indie films and Oscar hopeful type films. I don't generally think of summer blockbuster toy lines being turned into movies, Mattel products on display everywhere. So when I heard that they were making a Barbie movie, it kind of I rolled my eyes a little bit, like, all right. And then that first trailer came out that was calling back to 2001. Just that juxtaposition of Barbie with all-time classic sci-fi 2001, the boom, 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 that whole thing. And then you start seeing some of the cast photos and seeing that whole cast. Simu Liu is also playing a Ken character in there. It looks like everybody and their brother is involved in this film. It looks fun. It doesn't look like it's going to try and be something that it's not. It looks like it gets it in the sense of humor that they're going for, and everyone going, "Really, a Barbie movie?" It does. It just looks fun. I think you nailed it on the head right there. It looks fun.
The fact that somebody like Greta Gerwig is attached means this is gonna be something. It's not just gonna be some corporate money printing machine, or at least hopefully not. I don't know. I could be totally wrong, but comes out the same week as Oppenheimer, so that'll be the greatest double feature of all time right there.
Yeah, perfect counter programming, counter viewing options going to the box office. That is funny too. The idea of the father of the atomic bomb and Barbie
Yeah, so
hitting big screens at the same time.
yep. So we're gonna go from I have become death to hey Ken, let's go to the beach in like less than an hour apart from each other. So it's gonna be quite the day for that.
And part of me wonders too, and I don't know whether it's going to be in there or not. But the Barbie song, "Come on, Barbie, let's go party." Oh,
They've said that's not gonna be in the movie.
no. Part of
They
me,
could just be yanking our chains, but uh, I've heard that's not gonna be in the movie, unfortunately.
so
I can dream, can't I?
yes, we can dream. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, opening up Cinco de Mayo. Thoughts on Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and are you surprised that it didn't end up higher on your list?
I'm not surprised it didn't end up higher on my list. No, it's just the fact that my top 10, or actually more like top 5, is just so unbelievably stacked. It's ridiculous. So, uh, but yeah, I've been looking forward to Guardians 3 for quite a while now. It's one that I haven't put a ton of thought into until just recently, where I'm like, oh, this is coming out incredibly soon. It's going to be the finale of the Guardians of the Galaxy series. It's going to be a movie in the MCU that's actually going to hopefully feel like an actual conclusion to these characters and their story and not something that gets saved for an Avengers team up. So I think that'll be a nice change of pace. And also James Gunn, his vision for these movies and this part of the MCU has just been phenomenal all around. So I can't wait to see what he does to wrap everything up. It definitely looks like it's going to be a bit of a tearjerker throughout. Visually, it looks incredible. And I think this is definitely above all the MCU movies and projects. This is probably going to be the most special at the end of the day. And I think it's going to look fantastic in IMAX as well. So the theater experience will be a good one, and yeah, I can't wait to see it, even though it's probably going to be an emotional roller coaster.
So will you be doing an IMAX review for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3?
Hell yeah. I can't miss it. I had to miss 2 for personal reasons last month, so I gotta do it this time. I might be going to the IMAX marathon though for all 3 movies because I think that'd be cool. So there might be 3 Guardians IMAX videos, but I haven't decided yet. So don't hold me to that.
That would be awesome. The idea of seeing all three Guardians of the Galaxy movies on the big screen in IMAX, again, seeing them all kind of back to back to back. I love the idea of that. So
Yeah, wouldn't get home till like 3 in the morning, but it'd be worth it.
it's true. Yeah, dragging butt the next day, but totally worth it. Elemental, my dear Cody. It is. This looks like it's Pixar back to business as usual. Pixar's had some missteps the last couple of years. Pixar has just had a few misses here and there. Not awful films, but just not up to Pixar standards. This one looks like it's calling back to In and Out, or Inside Out. The visual gags that they do in the trailer, the fire and the water and the trees and the all of it looks really well thought out. I love the animation style. I love the burning effects, the evaporation effects they do with the fire and the water. It looks really well thought out, really well executed. The characters have that glowing quality to them that only really happen in Pixar movies. So,
Mhm.
for all of those reasons, in Pixar, I trust in general. That trust has not been broken as of yet, although they've come close a couple of times. But Pixar, Pixar. Disney, yes, but Pixar all the way. So Elemental is my number 7. I'm gonna be
Yeah,
there
and
owning.
actually going to theaters, not to Disney Plus too, you freaking doo-doo heads.
Well, and there are films that you can watch that you can save the money on and just wait till streaming. But Pixar movies are they take such care to nail the animation quality. It's those are films designed to be seen on the big screen. So I am
Exactly.
I'm really excited to look forward to Elemental and everything Pixar. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. This is this is a movie that I wish would have come out 2 or 3 years ago. And then the whole Twitter thing happened and James Gunn got fired. And then Disney spent a full year not hiring anyone else to do Guardians of the Galaxy. And then James Gunn got hired by DC to do The Suicide Squad. And then recently he's leaving to take over the DCEU. All that aside, I think some of the creative attention that would have been more perfectly realized for Guardians 3 in 2018, 19, 20. It feels to me watching this trailer that some of that energy might have dissipated a little bit. And when it still excites me. Of all the films for Phase 5, this is the film that should have me the most excited because I've been waiting. I love James Gunn. I've been waiting for this film for whatever it was, 2017, I think, is when Guardians 2 came out.
Mhm.
It doesn't feel like it's been 6 years, but in some ways it does kind of feel like it's been 6 years. So I'm shocked, of all things, that Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, that when that we finally got that first trailer over Christmas movie season, and it didn't blow me away. I love this whole Guardians cast. I love all of these characters. It does kind of feel like something might be a little bit off with the visual style. It kind of feels like James Gunn has gone full DC in his visual style since the Suicide Squad. So I'm kind of reserving my excitement levels a little bit for this film. But anytime you have Chris Pratt and Zoe Saldana and the entire cast coming back for one last ride, it's Vin Diesel as Groot, so it's all eternally one last ride. It has me excited, but it does shock me a little bit that Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is not higher on my list, and that it's number 6 on both of our lists.
Yep. I mean, I think ultimately the movie's going to deliver one way or another, but yeah, I mean, with so many other movies coming out, my top 5 is pretty stacked. So like I said, it's just right outside the top 5, but it's very very close to it.
Eric Thorpe reviews Guardians is the only Marvel thing now that I'm really excited for. Yes, and the marathon doesn't start until 7:30 p.m. That is a late time to start a threequel of any franchise. What do you think will come out at top of the box office, Barbie or Oppenheimer? That's a good question. What do you think, Cody? Which one will be number one that weekend? Coming out the same day, Barbie or Oppenheimer?
Instinctively, I'm gonna say Oppenheimer just because it is a Nolan movie. It's a big budget thing, so I think he's gonna be more of a draw. But I think Barbie will definitely be some pretty good competition there.
I agree as well, and I think this is also one that it's a safer bet to go with Nolan. And if Barbie does come in at number one, make it a pleasant surprise, but don't rely on Barbie to be a major hit. Barbie, to me, if it does come in at number one, would be a little bit shocking because Christopher Nolan has such good street cred. Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning, Part 1. We can't just have one by themselves. They're shooting Part 7 and 8, Mission Impossible 7 and 8 at the same time. So this is Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning Part 1 coming out July 14th.
After Top Gun Maverick, my new motto in life is never question Tom Cruise. In the Mission Impossible movies, especially the last few, 4 through current day, have been just these fantastic, well-made movies with incredible practical effects, some insane stunt work, and just some really fun spy action here and there. I mean, not here and there, the whole freaking movie is spy action, but so it's one of those things that I'm just going in full faith. It's gonna deliver one hell of a good time at the movies. All the behind the scenes stuff they've shown for the stunt work, especially the one where Tom Cruise drives a motorcycle off a cliff and then parachutes downward. That's gonna look incredible and in an IMAX screen again, just because it's gonna be one of those movies that you need to go see on a massive screen. And it'll be interesting to see how they conclude this series with this one and number 8. And yeah, bring it on. Mission Impossible, Tom Cruise, practical effects, big fun time. Take my money now. Just take it.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I love Tom Cruise. You're right. Tom Cruise, when it comes to movie making, he almost never has a dud. He is, and ever since Mission Impossible 4, when they brought in Christopher McQuarrie as a production partner, as a screenwriter, there's just something special about this series since Mission Impossible 4. The first 3 Mission Impossible films were fun too, and when they first started doing this Mission Impossible series back in the 90s, they looked at it as one of those things where it could be a Tom Cruise vehicle that he could come back to every 4 or 5 years and work with different directors every time. So Brian De Palma in the first one and J.J. Abrams in Mission Impossible 3. But ever since Mission Impossible 4 came out, there's been something very special about this Mission Impossible series of films. Not really a continuing storyline, but more of a stable cast of characters and a bigger story that's being told. with the Mission Impossible universe. Practical effects and Tom Cruise's dedication to doing stunt work, and with every year he gets a year older, and yet he still doesn't slow down. He's still constantly pushing himself, and he's doing the hard the arm pump run thing that he does with that a single long take that'll take a minute and a half to do one thing of him sprinting and then pumping his arms really hard. Yeah, I agree. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. Not a huge fan of that Dead Reckoning name, but Part 1 of 2. Oppenheimer, J. Robert Oppenheimer, biopic, Christopher Nolan, Cillian Murphy, go.
Well, first of all, Christopher Nolan, pretty much anything he puts out, I'm gonna go see regardless of the source material. But it is interesting though, because he's doing a biopic about, the career of the atomic bomb and everything that goes down with that, and, couple that with his very large scale auteur blockbuster style. Just those elements coming together just lend itself to a very interesting idea. Also, the cast is completely stacked with Killian Murphy, even Robert Downey Jr.'s in there, Matt Damon, Josh Peck of all people, who is somebody I'm definitely excited to see in there. And also, he likes shooting on actual real IMAX cameras with 70 millimeter films. So you don't get a lot of those because it's extremely expensive to film on. So it's usually pretty special when that happens. And from what I've heard, somehow they practically recreated the atomic bomb blast. I don't know how they pulled that off, or that could just be complete BS, but either way, I need to go see how they pull it off. And yeah, in Nolan we trust.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And if they were able to do this practically, Nolan did so much of the Dark Knight Batman trilogy. He did practically in camera with models, and there was a shot, the shot in the Dark Knight where they actually imploded the building as the Joker was walking out and gets on the bus and they drive away. Is just it's freaking amazing what Christopher Nolan does. So yeah, if they did all or part or even a hybrid approach to the nuclear explosions of the A-bomb going off and the testing and all that kind of stuff, practically out in the desert somewhere, that wouldn't surprise me at all. That it also kind of interesting is they've had a rotating website up where it's constantly playing the trailer for Oppenheimer for like 3 or 4 months now. And if you go to this website that for the Oppenheimer movie, it's constantly playing the trailer for Oppenheimer, and it has an up to the second countdown for the film coming out, and it'll say like even a couple months ago it said like 4 months, 13 days, and 5 minutes. So there's a lot of promotion going into this film. I'm a little surprised that it's not higher on my list. I'm not shocked it's number 4 on your list. But this film looks amazing. The Little Mermaid. This is one that I'm kind of surprised that it's this high up on my list. Like I did not see the original.
You wrote the list.
I did, yeah. But it's one of those where I sat down and I watched all of these trailers for this summer back to back to back to back to back. It took me a couple hours to get through all these trailers. And The Little Mermaid, of all films, showed up at number 5 on my list after watching and rewatching all these trailers several times, and there's just something about this film. And again, I did not. I've to this day I've still not seen the original Little Mermaid, and yet when I watch this trailer, it feels like it's honest to the original film, even though I haven't seen the original film, which is a really weird thing to say. But when I watch this trailer, it feels like the 90s Disney movies come to life. And, I love the Jungle Book remake. I did not see the Lion King remake or even the Aladdin remake, the live action one. I love the Beauty and the Beast one from a couple years ago. So, fingers crossed. The actress playing Ariel looks really well cast. She looks really talented. Melissa McCarthy I love pretty much everything Melissa McCarthy does, and her as Ursula as the bad guy looks amazing. And it's Little Mermaid. It's a live action version. Yes, it's a cash grab, but it looks like it was really well done and done with care and done honoring the spirit of the original film as well, which I have not seen, but it still feels that way with the trailer. Um,
Yeah, I really hope so.
yeah. Well, where does the Little Mermaid fall on your list of of the Disney Renaissance '90s movies, '80s and '90s
Uh,
movies?
hmm. I haven't put that much thought into it, but I'd say it has to be relatively high up. Maybe not number one, but it's up there.
Yeah, and I need to go back and rewatch all of those '90s the Disney Renaissance films because I love Beauty and the Beast and Aladdin and Lion King and all of those ones. Maybe not Hercules. Hercules is kind of where it lost the steam a little bit. But even going back to The Great Mouse Detective in the mid '80s, and which kind of kicked off some of those that whole Disney Renaissance. I'm a huge fan of those Disney hand-drawn animation films. The Machine, and this is
Wow.
one that it shocks me that this is number 4 on my list. When I saw when I saw the trailer for it, I've heard the name Bert Kreischer. Kreischer, am I saying that right? Bert Kreischer.
Right.
Kreischer. First time I saw the trailer, I was like, what is this? There's a shot of an old stand-up comedian from 10, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. Are they just aging the film a little bit? And then Mark Hamill walks in, and then all hell breaks loose. We're getting a lot of stand-up comedians getting their own semi-biopic thing right now. Sebastian Maniscalco doing About My Father with Robert De Niro coming up here in a couple weeks. This looks like it's in that same vein, but on acid. It looks like it's a trip. It jumps off the screen in a way that really surprises me for a comedian biopic. Mark Hamill, he always knows just how far to go with the Mark Hamill thing. Doesn't overstay his welcome, but he plays into, yes, Luke Skywalker, yes, the Joker, but it's still a talented actor. This has that feeling of being, oh yeah, Mark. 10 years from now, when you do a career retrospective on Mark Hamill, you go, oh yeah, The Machine. It may not be the top of the list, but you go, and he was really good in The Machine too. This feels like a film that people will bring up 10 years from now as being the one that people may not remember long term, but then you go, oh yeah, when you bring up The Machine, he was really good in The Machine. He just sort of feels like that sort of appearance for Mark Hamill. Bert Kreischer, I'm butchering his name again. Sorry, Bert. But I know I've seen him flipping as I flip channels. I'm not familiar with his work, but before this film comes out, Memorial Day weekend, I definitely need to check out some of his stand up. The Machine comes in at number 4 on
I'm not expecting Shakespeare here, but I'm expecting a fun time. That's all I need from it. I don't expect it to get rave reviews, but if it's still fun and everyone just looks like they're enjoying themselves, then that's all I need.
Eric Thorpe reviews. Keep in mind, Big Hero 6 did best Interstellar at the box office when they came out the same weekend. Interesting. I have not seen Big Hero 6. I definitely was watching Interstellar when that came out opening weekend. Eric Thorpe reviews, but I am rooting for Oppenheimer myself. And he also says Little Mermaid is one of my favorite animated films. Eric disagrees with me though. He thinks Hercules is great. I did not like that one as well. Although I did love James Woods voicing Hades. Number 3 is The Flash for you.
The trailer, I think, definitely did a great job of showing off what the potential of this movie actually is, because for so long it was like, oh, the movie's happening with this director. Oh, they backed out. Oh, a new director, back out, new director, yada yada yada. And they finally shot the thing. Then they reshot parts of it. Then it got delayed. Then it got delayed. Then it got delayed over and over again. Then all the Ezra Miller controversy stuff ensued, and then everything in flux at DC at the moment. So it just kind of felt like this could be a disaster. But I think at the end of the day, from what the trailer's shown, again, I think it's gonna do a lot as far as resetting the DCU, giving some good nostalgic fan service with Michael Keaton's Batman coming back in a prominent role too, not just a little cameo, which I think is going to be fantastic. Uh, but I do think at the core of the story is going to be just Barry Allen, trying to finally come to terms with the death of his mother, trying to maybe not try to save her at the end of it, or and just seeing the consequences of his actions and just all of that unfolding. I think that's going to be, at least I hope it's going to be the center of the movie at the end of the day. And I think that will definitely be well executed. And yeah, I think also hopefully it'll be a good way to just wrap up 10 years of the DCEU and just kind of gracefully usher in the new era. That's all we could ask for at this point.
This is a film that has been stuck in development hell, as they say. They announced the Flash movie the
A week
same.
after the show.
Yeah, and to think that the Flash TV show has been on the air for 9 full seasons and will come to an end before this movie even airs, um, tells just how much of a development hell uh, the Flash has been through, and all of the DCEU as well. So the fact that they're rebooting the DC universe with this film, it's a really good choice to do that. Flashpoint is a great storyline. When they did Flashpoint in the TV show during season 2, I was a big fan of that storyline and the way they approached it as well. So hopefully that proves to be a good omen for things to come. Love the cast for this film, and again, Michael Keaton coming back as Batman. You can't go wrong with Michael Keaton. There's just something about Michael Keaton, and the fact that we never got a third Michael Keaton Batman movie. I love those '90s Batman films, but I wish we would have got a third Michael Keaton Batman movie. And the fact that we never did, hopefully this will be a nice close to his time in the cowl. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
With this and my number one, if either of these movies are bad or disappointing, I'm gonna be very unpleasant for the rest of the year. I'm just gonna say that right now. You've been warned. Because the first Spider-Verse movie, I love, love, love that movie to death. It's just the perfect combination of everything, basically. It's pays tribute to basically all eras of Spider-Man, animated and live action. It tells a great emotional story about, a new protagonist, Miles Morales, taking up the mantle as Spider-Man and, kind of setting himself up for greatness by doing that. The animation style is amazing. The editing, the soundtrack is incredible. Which, by the way, the soundtrack I listen to on a regular basis for the last 4 years. It's incredible. It's one of those movies where it's one of those I can say is just an absolute 10 out of 10 amazing A plus movie. So now we've got a sequel where there's some pretty big shoes to fill, but I'm confident they will do so because it's opening up more of the Spider-Verse. There's hundreds of new Spider-Man we're gonna see. Some great callbacks, like there's the Insomniac PS4 Spider-Man, which is probably just like a tiny cameo, but also, we get Spider-Man 2099 in there, which is a fan favorite. And at the end of the day, I think it's gonna be visually incredible. The sound, the characters are gonna be great, but I just hope that Miles's story will have a good, satisfying continuation and just make sure that he is still the focal point of it, which I think it will. I just hope they don't get too wrapped up in the spidery fan service this time around, which with so many spider people, who knows, but I have a lot of faith they're gonna pull it off, and I just can't wait for another one of these movies. Like, my body is ready, just inject it into my veins right now.
Get the central line ready. Have 100% pure Spider-Man ready to go.
Exactly. I'm not even joking.
Yeah, neither am I. It's funny. When they announced that the first Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse film, it did nothing for me. Like I like the idea of Miles Morales. I'm not a comic book reader, but I like the idea of kind of mixing it up a little bit and introducing a character like Miles Morales, get a little bit of diversity in there, but also kind of expanding on the Spider-Man universe and giving new stories to tell. And then when I finally saw this film, or the first film in this trilogy, wow, the animation style. I did not think that I would like the animation style, and then when you see it on the big screen, especially in 3D, the animation style pops. There's just something about this,
Mhm.
about the care that they took with the animation style. It's whatever the best realized version of that they had going in for this animation style for Spider-Man, it worked. As far as the vocal cast too, anytime you can have Adam Carolla playing a Spider-Man character, and then seeing that it's the black and white film noir version of Spider-Man, that just had me from the get go of the first film. The trailers for this second film, it it looks like, yeah, they're expanding the universe. They're going across the Spider-Verse. I am not a comic book reader, so I appreciate all of the attention to detail that it looks like the filmmakers have done, looking up all of the different Spider-Man and Spider-Man animation styles and different iterations of Spider-Man. Obviously, Spider-Man is one of the most popular superheroes of all time, so the fact there's a Spider-Verse, a whole Spider-Universe out there, doesn't surprise me, and it looks like they've mined as many different characters, versions of Spider-Man from that Spider-Verse as possible and put them in this film. I am also very excited about Spider-Man. Spider-Man also on my list. This one comes in at number 3. It's one that could have easily been number 1. Jake Johnson does
Yeah.
such a good job. Shamir Moore as Miles Morales. It looks like most of the cast is returning. Also, seeing Gwen Stacy as Spider-Gwen. Huge fan of her from that first film. So, yeah, I just already said it all. More thoughts on Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Cody?
Um, I can't wait for it. And again, if it disappoints, I'm probably just gonna go live in the mountains for the rest of my life, and you'll never hear from me again, because I will not recover from that level of disappointment. I'm probably setting myself up for failure right now, but I don't care. I can't wait.
Yeah, and the fact that they're making both of these sequels at the same time, we see that every once in a while with live action films. We saw it with Back to the Future 2 and 3, The Matrix 2 and 3. We're seeing it with the Avatar 2 and 3. But you don't really see a ton of animated films go that route. Initially, this was a part 1 of 2, that because they're producing both of these Spider-Verse sequels at the same time. So we should get Ending the Spider-Verse. I forget the name of the third one, but they've switched it, the
Beyond the
naming.
Spider-Verse.
So which one? What'd you say?
It's Beyond the Spider-Verse.
Beyond the Spider-Verse, even better. They switched the naming convention there at some point from being part 1 and part 2 to obviously these more dynamic standalone type films. But they're producing both of these at the same time as well. So yeah, I as well am really excited. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. This would be number 1 on my list if not for the Crystal Skull. Indiana Jones is one of my favorite franchises from growing up. It is, Harrison Ford looks like he's fully bought into this third act of his career. He looks like he's fully committed to this role. Yes, there's a lot of CGI in the trailers. Yes, clearly he has some body doubles. I mean, he broke his leg on Star Wars a couple years ago. So the years of having Harrison Ford be doing a lot of the action scenes himself are over with. But this still looks like a lot of fun. James Mangold as director. He did Logan, which is one of the best superhero movies of all time. So James Mangold taking over for Steven Spielberg, picking up the mantle of Indiana Jones before they eventually reboot it 3 years from now. But still, Harrison Ford, Indiana Jones. We'll jump to your number 1 because that is next anyway. Your number one, and we when we did our top films for the year, you had Indiana Jones even as the number one movie you're looking forward to all year. So
Yep.
talk to me about Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Great
Okay, well, where to begin? I think I elaborated on this a bit when we did our most anticipated stream, like in January. Indiana Jones, like when the fourth movie was coming out, I think just me and my cousins and my friends were all just like at the perfect age to be introduced to the franchise. We were all like 9, 10 years old. And, getting to watch the movies for the first time ever, it was just like this, it was an incredible experience. And just getting lost in this world and, going outside in the backyard with our fedoras, pretending to play Indiana Jones and things like that. And then, getting to so part of it was just like a great bonding experience too, but also just the fact these movies are so fantastic with Steven Spielberg, George Lucas, Harrison Ford, these great practical effects, some great stunt work, uh, just these very well made summer blockbuster movies that should be more the standard, but I think we've kind of strayed away from some of that a bit. I'm more positive when it comes to the fourth movie, but that's a discussion for another day, or we could be here all night. But yeah, like you said, with James Mangold taking over, I think he's a perfect director to wrap up Harrison Ford Indy's story because we've seen with Logan and even stuff like Ford versus Ferrari, he does a good job of showing these iconic characters, at the end of their life, their career, their mortality, seeking a little bit, just kind of wanting to do one more epic hurrah or, one last ride, so to speak. And I think that is what this movie's going to be about. And also with also just great to see Harrison Ford come back in the role. It's gonna be really exciting because Harrison Ford's my favorite actor of all time, and Indiana Jones is my favorite character of his. So of course, it'll be cool to see him in the hat one more time, kick some butt, have some cool stunt work. See him digging up ancient tombs and things like that, and also stuff like getting the opening flashback where it'll be set during World War II and all the de aging with Harrison Ford in that scene looks fantastic, so that'll be cool. And yeah, I could honestly babble all night long about my anticipation for it, but I think it's going to be it'll be a return to form for the series, feel more like the original trilogy, wrap everything up nicely, feel like a good, proper conclusion. And yeah, I'm totally excited, just getting ready to just buying up all the merch, like the new Lego sets and things like that. So I can't wait. Look for a lot of Indiana Jones content on my channel pretty soon. And yeah,
Any
if that one,
is there a
but
history of hype video for Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny coming from you?
not for the fifth movie, but one of them is coming. I just started writing it a few days ago.
Nice. And talk a little bit more about the content you're going to be making for Indiana Jones and Dial of Destiny.
Yeah. Well, there's going to be a history of life episode, of course. It's going to be about the fourth movie, though, not the original trilogy, because the fourth movie, the promotional campaign for that one was absolutely massive and insane. It was everywhere. It it was a big part of like my nostalgia for the franchise, just seeing it left and right and getting to because it focused on all four movies, not just the new one, which I thought was a really great way to go about that. But anyway, all the new merchandise for the new movies coming out in waves right now, so look for a merch hunting video for that. Probably gonna do individual reviews for all four movies, which is something I haven't done in a long time. But for Indiana Jones, I definitely have to do that. And yeah, there's a couple more surprises I don't want to get into just yet. But yeah, it's gonna be a very Indiana Jones esque couple of months for me. So.
Very nice. Yeah, TBD and more to come for Indiana Jones. Love it. Yeah, I am a huge Indiana Jones fan. I love a motivated Harrison Ford, which it seems like he is for this film. I,
Absolutely, yeah.
I echo what you say in that he's one of my favorite movie stars of all time. He was the number one movie star of all time, and then the last 20 years happened when he would do one mediocre film after another, and reluctantly go on the Tonight Show to promote the film. And he was just, he does the commercials for the wildlife people, and that's about it. Like he just, but something about the last 2 years, the last 2, 3, 4 years, he's started working again, and he's actually doing good work. I mean, he was the
Mhm.
best part of the Star Wars sequel trilogy. Uh, Harrison Ford now is doing television shows. I mean, the fact that the biggest movie star of my lifetime is doing television work now, and not just one, but doing two shows. He did
Mhm.
was it 1923 or 1899 or one of the Yellowstone prequel shows. He's gonna be
Yeah.
he's the title character taking over for William Hurt in the Marvel Cinematic Universe in the Thunderbirds. He is Thunderbird. So yeah, I love Harrison Ford. I am really excited for this film, and to hear that John Williams theme again, that Indiana Jones theme in the trailers, chills
Euphoric.
up. Yeah, it's just you talked about it. Yeah, if you could just grind it up and make make it pure, injectable in the veins. A John Williams score, Harrison Ford starring in the film. Yes, he's in his 80s. John Williams is in his 90s, but it's still both of them at the height of their game. It feels like, it sounds like. So, huge John Williams. Mission Impossible 7.
Oh,
Mission
nice.
Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning. Um, I This is a franchise that the first three films were good, but they're not on anyone's all time list of summer blockbusters. They're good, but yeah, they're good. And then Mission Impossible 4 happened, and this run of films the last 10 years that they've done is some of the best action films, right up there with James Bond, but with more energy. It feels a lot like that James Bond spy world, more than just knock lists and pulling a rubber mask off his face. There's the attention to detail of the action scenes. I forget which of the films it was, but the fact that Tom Cruise was attached outside of an airplane as it took off shows
Yeah.
just how much Tom Cruise is dedicated to action. You ask, how can Tom Cruise top himself, and yet he always seems to top himself somehow. Looks like they're continuing the same story where it kind of left off after Mission Impossible 6. So we will see. They've kept a lot of the story elements out of the trailers. I mean, I know they've kind of hinted at some here and there, but the action scenes is what they're showing mostly in the trailer, and I cannot wait for Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part.
A lot of good stuff coming out in the next couple months. We're gonna be well fed for a while.
Yeah, we could I'm sure by the time August is done, we can sit back and like have that post Thanksgiving food coma kind of thing, except for a cinema
Yep.
coma.
Gonna be like how many days till doing part two again?
Yeah. Yeah, and this is another film that they filmed back to back to back, or back to back. So yeah, those uh, both of so yeah, so that's one that really excites me. Let's look at your complete list. Looking at your list, are you surprised by this list? Are there films that you would have had higher on this list? Was there anything that shocked you about your list?
I think like maybe the bottom third, like 11 or like 11 to 15, 10 to 15, those were a little tricky to arrange, but but like that just goes like with like 1 through 5, that was pretty easy for me, especially 1 and 2. Because there are movies on this list that I'm looking forward to, but I'm not like counting down the seconds or dropping what I'm doing to watch the new trailer when they come out. But it's stuff like the Haunted Mansion movie or Elemental, where I think they'll be a good time and I'm looking forward to them, but I'm not like gonna camp out in front of the theater to see them. But So there's a lot of stuff that I'm really, really looking forward to, like Take My Money Now, and then everything else is just kind of like, yeah, I'm definitely gonna go see it, and hopefully it works out. It was kind of a toss up between like Transformers, Fast X, and Ninja Turtles. I wasn't quite sure how to arrange those, but I think it's pretty accurate to how I feel. So I'm satisfied with my list overall.
Where on this list is your "Take My Money Now" line? Where's the the watermark for the "Take My Money Now" on this list?
One and two, absolutely. Just take it, inject it. Let me drink it in a smoothie at this moment. Uh, the Flash is almost there, but not to the levels of Spider-Man and Indiana Jones. Oppenheimer, Mission Impossible, those are almost guaranteed to be great theatrical experiences and well-made movies. So of course, I can't wait. So top two, but it kind of extends into the top five as well.
I was a little shocked that Guardians of the Galaxy did not end up higher because coming into this year, Guardians of the Galaxy, that was the one film that I was really looking forward to more than any other. And then for whatever reason, just so many other films kind of rising to the top, and then the trailers kind of underwhelming. There's just so many good films that are top heavy on my list that same way. Mission Impossible, Indiana Jones, so many films that look really good, and I'm really optimistic for. And a little bit lower on my list, the fact that I have some rom coms on here, some romances, past lives. What's love got to do with it? Shocked me a little bit that they made it onto my list, but
Hmm.
I went through every single trailer that is out now for the summer movie season, and there were some films like that that made it onto my list. So it kind of surprised me a little bit, but it is a really solid summer. Going back to the chat one last time as we wrap up, Eric Thorpe reviews. Do you guys think there's any chance Christian Bale's Batman, or at least his Bruce Wayne, shows up in the Flash? I
Not at
don't
all, no.
think so. He. I haven't heard anything about him showing up. I would love it if it actually happened, but I think that he was so done with the role when he was done playing the role that it hasn't enough time hasn't passed yet for him to go back to the role. In my opinion, especially if you look at the first film that he did afterwards, being the David O. Russell film where he shows his gut for the whole first scene is about him with the comb over hair and showing the gut and showing how out of shape he got on purpose. I think he's just sort of done playing Batman for a while. But he was just so iconic in that role. It would be fun to see him back. Eric Thorpe reviews. It's weird. I love the first Spider-Verse movie, but my excitement is kind of mild for the sequel. I think I have Spider-Man the T. LOL. Yeah, we've gotten a lot of Spider-Man movies the last couple of years. I haven't gotten to that point yet where I'm Spidey'd out. I love Spider-Man. It's one of my favorite characters. Um, but
That
fortunately,
and oh,
yeah, no, and fortunately, all the Spider-Man iterations have been good. Thankfully,
yeah,
no Spider-Man 3. Your thoughts, Cody?
yeah. I was just didn't mean to cut you off there, but I said and on top of all of that, we're getting Insomniac's Spider-Man 2 for PS5 sometime this fall, which is gonna be freaking amazing. If they could
Oh,
just
that's right.
finally show a gameplay trailer already. Everybody in the community is losing their flipping minds right now, but that's gonna be a fantastic game. I can't wait for that.
Is that the one they've been showing commercials for the last couple of weeks?
Hmm?
Is that video game, the Spider-Man video game, the one they've been showing commercials for the last couple of weeks?
I They haven't really done a whole lot of marketing for the game yet, so I don't think so.
Okay,
But it's coming this fall, and Tony Todd is voicing Venom, which is going to be super cool.
nice. Talk about great actors with great deep baritone voices, and Tony Todd. Yeah, he does a phenomenal job. Eric Thorpe reviews. Until the trailer for The Flash came out, Indy 5 was my most anticipated of the year, so it's a close second now. It's going to be Special. Yeah, the Flash looks like it's going to be good as well. I'm shocked that it's not higher on my list, but it is where it is on my list. Thank you, Cody, for joining me. I've had a blast talking summer movies with you. What can people look forward to coming out on the Brockopp side?
Come May, June, July, it's gonna be full steam ahead because of all of these movies are gonna start to come out. But yeah, look for some more IMAX reviews. Hopefully, some physical media content here and there. I've been working on and off about doing a live show of my own, so hopefully we'll get that up and running pretty soon. Here.
Also, the IMAX reviews are surprisingly in detail. Like you don't just do the "Hey, it looks good on IMAX, go see it." Like you actually do a lot of research as to if them shooting on IMAX, the resolutions, the aspect ratios, everything. You put a lot into those reviews, and they're very detailed, very informative, and I agree with everything you say in
Thank you.
those reviews.
Yeah, I was afraid I was doing the "oh, it looks good, go see it" thing for a little bit, so that's why I started being like, "All right, let's talk shop a little bit, a little."
Well, and to do that with some detail, but not make it boring, is not an easy thing. But you do it in a way that's fun and entertaining, and also very informative. Is it worth the extra $3 or $4 to plunk down to go see an IMAX?
A lot of people had that question about Avatar. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You said 100,000 views on your IMAX video for that.
Collectively, it's over 100,000. Yes, because I did 3 of those for. But yeah, that was one of those you got to see it on the big screen, and everybody knew it.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us on the summer movie preview extravaganza, and we'll see you next time. See ya.